Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the war room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the hot block commander. How you wanna end a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level? Bold with the topics, sorta like the rebels when it's game time. They like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4 for 26 or the war in Kuwait. It's the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.
What's good, War Room family? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Dev McMillan, and I'm at the round table this evening with my brother. Got Jimmy the Blueprint in the building. What up, Jim? What's going on, man?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
you already know, man.
It's time to Jada and Styles Peters thing. B. Austin is off handling War Room business and handling some family business in the process, so shout out to him. But look, man, only one NBA conference final is still going on. That's in the East, but we're going to still discuss both. We'll also give you our thoughts on Magic Johnson airing out the Lakers on national TV and much more, so keep it locked right here as we discuss all the hoopla in the world of sports. And if you want to get in on the conversation yourselves, make sure you sign in right now to the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room, or you could join us on Facebook or Twitter. You know the drill, at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly in about 5 minutes when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. But before we get started, I know you got to give you a couple of reminders. The most important reminder is to make sure when we're not live on the air that you check out archive episodes of our show and all of the shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network during the week. You can do that at warroomsports.com, the War Room Sports mobile app. If you want to check us out in particular, you can also do that on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Anchor, most other places you do your podcast listening. So what up, Blueprint, man? Did you get a chance to get your bachelor's credits transferred over to Morehouse class of 2019 yet?
Man, listen, man.
I'm working on it.
Such a fire story right there, man. It's we could talk for a long time about that, man, because anybody who knows who had to, as my man PJ says, had to rumble them student loans, you know what kind of relief that is. And to your point was they don't even recognize how great of a gift they got.
Right. And for anybody who doesn't know what we're referring to, billionaire Robert Smith, he was the commencement speaker at Morehouse College's 2019 graduation this past weekend. And at the end of his speech, he announced to all 400 members of the graduating class that he's going to take care of all of their student loans for them. So that's one burden, a great burden. I'm not just going to say one burden because like Jimmy just alluded to, man, if you ever for a period of time, I don't know if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or like some of us who've been rumbling them for 20 years, if you ever had to square up and go toe-to-toe with student loans, then you know how much of a burden it is on, it just cramps your lifestyle sometimes, man. Like, it's just corny like that. And like what Jimmy was just saying, because we talked about this off the air, my whole thing was that's big, and just being a part of, this society, how big that is. But for those guys, because they all had smiles on their faces, because, that's big news right there. But I really don't think they really know the impact of that. And some of them may find out because they might get some grad school loans, and then they're going to be fighting with those in the years to come. I think those are going to be the only guys from that graduating class that really, really understand how big that gift was, man. Like, because if
but
somebody
you know what's crazy
said,
to me?
Go ahead.
The one thing that made me think about, though, the most powerful thing in all of that to me is the fact that you're talking about a black billionaire at an HBCU doing it. And to me, like, what's lost in all of this is, like, this dude, he doesn't rap. He doesn't play ball. He's not on TV shucking and jiving for nobody. So the power in just that itself was like, yo, I thought it was fire. Like, because the fact of the matter is, like, many people don't even know about Robert Smith. I found out about him a couple years ago. I'm not going to pretend and say like I've always known about him. I think it's when Forbes did the article and we talked about it in our group chat. I was like, yo, Gis boy. He been on the low killing it. But that was the first time I heard about him a couple years ago.
That was a couple
years
ago,
pretty sure,
Jimmy, but there's a lot of people that Googled him this week, like Gis boy.
But that's what I'm saying. So, and we talked about that too on the flip side. Man, from a marketing standpoint, and I know Dev's a marketing major, got his his MBA in marketing. Yeah, he's diversified and educated, but I don't know if he could have paid. I think he got way more than they said it's going to cost between 14 and 15 million. He got way more than that in pub for this. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Those are marketing dollars well spent. Like you said, he's going to get. I mean, because just imagine how many people looked him and his businesses up in the past 5, 6, 7 days. Since he did that, however many days ago it was, last Saturday. But just imagine how many people are interested now in what he does and are finding out, what businesses are his. Hell yeah, that's a great point. That's marketing dollars well spent right there.
When he's in the room to do another deal, he's the guy that paid off the student loans. Like, that just adds so much cachet to do a deal with him when he goes to do his next deal.
Right.
Like, he's the student
You're looking
loan
at
guy.
him now as a smart guy, an honorable guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that stuff goes into it when you're doing, starting a business relationship with people. I know one thing is done.
Salute to him.
One thing it's going to do for colleges all around the country. Commencement speakers that pool just thinned out real quick because I think everybody he just raised the bar. He raised expectations. Now you think, like, a lot of people think like, yeah, man, I get to get my face out there. I get me a free doctorate and I get to give some jewels to these young dudes. That's all I got to do. Now people thinking like they're gonna expect a gift at the end of this joint. Like, I'm not paying no loans. I'm not giving no scholarships. Yeah, he set the bar. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of, people declining commencement speeches from here on out. Because
This is true.
Shout out to him, man. Shout out to the homie.
Yeah, shout out to him.
All right, let's get into what we're here to do. Let's talk some sports, man. And first, we're going to get into some hot topics. We'll brought you as usual by MyBookie. Let's take a minute to talk about how much you guys can make betting on sports at MyBookie. The Stanley Cup Finals are set. The NBA Finals are soon to follow. So if you still haven't checked out MyBookie, man, like we tell you every week, because it's always something big going on in sports. There's no greater time to do just that. You can lay down some dough on the biggest games in sports. Just join us and thousands of other online players placing bets at mybookie.ag. If you guys are tired of getting a runaround from those other services when it's time for a payout, then we urge you to give MyBookie a shot. You win, they pay fast, no hassles. You're basically wasting your time sports betting anywhere else. They even have in-game live betting so you can place wagers after the game starts. How crazy is that? So join now, and MyBookie will match your first deposit with a 100% bonus. You heard it right, 100% match. Just use the promo code WARROOM, all caps, to activate this offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. Play, win, get paid, period. And we also got the homie Jadakiss be shouting him out. But just, whatever Jadakiss say, if you see Jadakiss talking about it, just make sure you use promo code WARROOM, no matter what you see him saying. no matter what you see him saying, use promo code WARROOM. Shout out to Jada. I just tried to take your business. All right, so big week in Lakerland, man. We've been talking about your squad, Jimmy, for a while. The Lakers, when they're not good, they're the news. When they're not even playing, they're the news. So nothing's changed this week. Magic Johnson, the reason you became a Laker fan,
yeah,
he went on national TV, went on First Take, with those other guys on that other channel, and basically aired the Lakers front office out. Most of his vitriol was towards Rob Pelinka because he credits Rob with being the one. When we did the reports, we talked about people backstabbing Magic and people running around saying he's never at work, he doesn't do anything, basically he's just a figurehead. He points solely at Rob Pelinka as being that backstabber. He said Rob wanted his job. He told Rob, I'm only going to be here for 3 years, so I'm trying to groom you for this job anyway. I guess in Magic's eyes, Rob Pelinka wasn't patient enough, and he was the lead, basically, of sullying Magic's name, which ended up making him resign from the Los Angeles Lakers. He brought up some other names and some other scenarios as well, but what's your thought on all of this? Do you think, and this has been the conversation from all the talking heads, do you think anything Magic said, because when he finished it all, he said, I'm still a Laker for life. They call me, I'm still going to be in the building. I'm still going to be recruiting for them. But Magic had to know that what he was saying was damaging to the organization. So do you believe anything Magic is saying at the end of that one about, him still caring so much about the Lakers? And two, how much do you think this hurt the Lakers moving forward, at least for the short term?
I think that he, in his head, believes that he still loves the Lakers. I think he actually does still love the Lakers, but I don't think he understands the damage that he did do. If I'm a big-time free agent, I'm like, yo, it's craziness. I'm not messing with these dudes. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
Because
so
you're thinking Rob Pelinka's a snake. Magic Johnson, the greatest Laker of all time, leaves the organization, and then you're going to sit here and tell me I still love them and you should come to the Lakers? Like, that don't even sound right.
Yeah, exactly. So for
Jeannie
me,
can't control her troops. Linda Rambis is really in charge, and she don't know nothing about basketball. For me, it's kind of weird, right? Because on one hand, it was very entertaining, right? The interview was very, very entertaining. I felt like he was telling his truth, and I say his truth because that's how he sees things. Another thing about this whole situation is, Rob Pelinka must be like the devil. I haven't heard one person say anything good about him on any channel, on the internet, actual agents speaking about him. Everybody calls him a snake. Like, he took, Black Mamba to be serious, and he really wanted to be a Black Mamba. His name is But the thing is, that was his reputation even before getting into the front office of the Lakers. As an agent, I heard that the NBA, people hate him as an agent.
Yeah, they actually hate him. I'm like, what kind of dude is he that this many people hate him? They said because part of it was he was working for a firm, and he did all sorts of lying and cheating to basically go out on his own, before he got Kobe and all that. And he kind of finessed it, and at least that's what I heard. But the point is, I'm like, his name is Mud. So when your name is that kind of mud, even if Magic is lying, no one's going to believe you anyway. Because even his response was kind of trash. What is he talking about? No, he didn't tell me that. My thing, if somebody's slandering me like that, I may not draw and go all the way in because I'm at least going to address it. I'm gonna say, yo, that's not what happened. His response was kind of trash to me.
Right. I mean, this whole situation has been kind of trash because Magic, even through all of this, he's still not claiming any regrets in how he left. And I'm like, okay, at some point, Magic, you got to realize that not talking to your boss / someone that you call your sister, even though I hear they had sat down 2 days prior, but he never said anything about quitting. He claims that he thought about it. He doesn't just make rash decisions, so he had to know when he sat down with her. And then you just do this in an impromptu press conference in the hallway. It's just a lot there. I mean, regret might be a strong word, but there could be at least some kind of admission. I could have done that another way. But Magic, look, I'm not a regretful dude. I did what I did, said what I said, and that's it. So it looks crazy.
Yeah, but I don't understand how you can do that and then still say, hey, I love this franchise. I want what's best for this franchise. You really don't want what's best. You still could love the franchise. You still could absolutely love the franchise. Whether you want what's best for them, that's questionable for one. But I think in his head he actually believes that, and I don't think he understands the damage he did. Or he did.
See, but that's the thing.
understand
I'm
the
kind of
damage
leaning towards what you're saying, Jim. But there's a lot of people out there who are giving Magic more credit than us, and they, there's a lot of people that think he knew exactly what he was doing. So by them saying that, without actually saying it, it sounds like they believe that Magic is lying. At the end when he says, "I still love the Lakers. I'm a Laker for life. I'll recruit for him. I'm gonna still be in the building." Blah blah blah. Because if you knew the damage you were doing, and then you said that, like, that's
one of the
sinister.
most interesting things about this whole thing. Now, again, I'm torn because the team is pretty much worse than they've ever been. But what I find interesting about this, because again, we all love business, and is when Matt Kellerman asked a great question, which was, do you think in 2019 you can actually own a franchise in any of the major sports and run it as a mom and pop shop? Or do the Lakers need to either sell or level up and run it as if it's a corporate organization, as
Stop
every
trying
other
to
team?
put
There's
all
not too
these
many
ex-Lakers in power.
Yeah, there's no mom and pop
brothers
shops.
and sisters
Big companies and big brands on it. Yeah, so, I thought that was an interesting question, which I think is something there. But it's just an overall mess. But I'll tell you one thing, man. As they say on our Ratchet TV shows, man, the T was crazy. He was spilling. He started naming the boy Tim, whatever his name is. He put him out there.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out with Linda Rambis, what's her qualifications?
Yeah, because Magic said, dude, and I can't think of his name right now, but he said
Tim
he would show
somebody
up in the meetings with stuff to say about the basketball side, and he's supposed to be more so on the business side. So Magic's like, you got this dude talking. Basically, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Is that how they say it? Not enough Indians, too many chiefs, something like that. So he said this dude's in the meeting talking, so he has an opinion now. Rob Pelinka has an opinion. I guess Jeannie tries to really stay out of stuff, but she's the person you got to run everything by in the end. Either way, so Magic was like, it was just getting too crowded in the room. So he felt like, he just didn't have the power that he was promised when he got there. And those are sentiments that we heard throughout the reports before he actually went on TV and gave this candid interview. But yeah, I'm just wondering at the end of all this, like, how does Magic really think, or was that just his cleanup attempt? He's like, man, I just burned the building down, but let me spray some water on it by saying, I still love y'all. And I'm gonna be out here recruiting for y'all. Like, come on, man. Like we already said, Rob Pelinka already had a negative name in the sport. Now you got the greatest Laker of all time, whose statue is out in front, even though it's Staples Center. They ain't hard to be in here, but still, probably got a statue.
Real quick on that note, man.
But
on that note, man, friend of the show and the good brother Rob Parker got to chill, man.
Rob Parker said that they should. He said that first he was saying they should snatch his statue down, but then he was like they should cover it up with a wet blanket and banish Magic from the premises, from the facilities, indefinitely, until something happens and they actually make up. So I'm taking it, Jim, that you don't agree with that.
Yo, that's drawing. Like, I understand. Like, I've heard his shows, but he tries to do that. He's on the hot take train like everybody else. Like, but
he's the hot take villain. He got to be with the negative. He got to stir it up.
Because some of the stuff he said further on was
Christian Broussard can clean it up.
When he was talking about Reggie Jackson and how Reggie Jackson is the same level in baseball as Magic is in basketball. I think that's a little
he said he was
draw.
the same level for the Yankees as Magic was with the Lakers. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah, like, come on, you drawing, dog. Like, Reggie Jackson might not even be a top 5 on his squad, let alone baseball. Right. So as a Yankee.
So listening to him speak is like, okay, I agree with you in the fact that Magic did a lot of damage, and he may have been wrong. Like I said, Magic thought he was telling his truth. So he, in the midst of telling his truth, he did some damage that Jimmy and I still haven't come to a conclusion of whether he did this purposely or not. He didn't know the damage that he was doing, but he was telling his truth, and in his truth, a lot of people got laid out, a lot of bodies left around Staples Center. But he's Magic Johnson, man. You can't take down his statue. You can't cover up his statue. Even if you did come to some conclusion, like you heard us enough for us to just say, let's part ways for a while and Magic won't be around the organization for a while. Even if you did that, you can't cover up the man's statue. The statue has nothing to do with what's going on now. He got that for what he did on that hoop court. So
when you think about everything going on, like the boy had to be smarter too, though. Like, let's just say the snake ball really wanted him out of there. I feel like the way he went about it was like so trash. Like, yo, he's one of the most beloved people in basketball. Stuff's going to get back to him. So maybe that was your intent, to force him to do what he did because you actually got the job. But all you did was further mutter your name. Your name is absolute must. So if she decides one day, hey, listen, he's not going to be a part of this, I don't know what else he's going to do in basketball, just based upon the things I'm hearing people say about him and his reputation.
Right.
Kobe's no longer playing, so he kind of jumped right in there. Once Kobe got off, he jumped right in there. So in basketball, I don't see what he does after this.
Right. Let's see.
You got to make.
And I've heard every side of this about Magic and Rob and even Kobe. Now that you bring him up, like there are people who talk about this story, and it's not like speculation that Kobe has something to do with the power structure over there. Like there's people where it is 100% a sure thing in their mind, and they just talk about it like we all know. You know what I'm saying? They talk about like we all know that Kobe's pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Like there's actually people who report that, and if you didn't know anything about the story, you would automatically think out of your ignorance that, oh, Kobe Bryant has something to do with this, because some people's opinion of it is just that. So we don't know that. I've heard the speculation that Kobe's had something to do with this, but even from Magic's side, I've heard all kinds of things. I've heard that Magic messed it up for other black, executives trying to get jobs in the NBA because of how he handled this thing. Like I've heard every single scenario out there. It's like people, like you said, man, the hot take central is where we're living.
We gotta get this soundbite from a Street Fighter. Say Toasty.
Exactly.
That's all cats be doing now, man. Toasty.
That's all people do
get
now.
Hot takes out there. He ruined it for the executives. Come on,
we got
man.
some calls on the line. I see the homie Naj on the line calling in from GA. Let's get him on the line.
James Dolan ruined it for white owners. Come on, man. Stop
no
that.
doubt. Naj, what's going on, man? You're in the war room.
What up,
Magic
man?
ruined it for black executives trying to get jobs in the NBA.
We was this close to getting all the jobs. Now we're gonna get none of them.
Magic.
Hey, but since we're going down this route, can we revisit Big Bad Magic Johnson? You know what I'm saying? I think we need to bring that back into the conversation too. But salute to Magic though. Salute to Magic on this one, man. I don't think Magic is the wrong guy here. I think everybody's looking in the wrong direction. I think Rob Pelinka came on with the promise of he's got a special relationship with players, contacts, agents, and all this other stuff. And what actually came about was a lot of people hate his guts within the industry and were willing to not do a deal based on dealing with him, or would try to short him on deals. So he ended up hurting the organization because all he brought was baggage as opposed to him bringing a strategic advantage. So I think Pelinka is not good at his job. He's a transactional culture vulture from his Michigan days, where he used those contacts to move into the agent game and do what he did. And now he's used Kobe Bryant to get into the office door here and get to this industry. Probably, made reference to Meyer over at Golden State. Hey, he's an agent. He did it. That ain't got nothing to do with you. You're bad at your job. That's why you traded Zubac across the hall for Mike Muscala, because you're bad at your job. So hopefully he's out of there. But then we got to remember, man, Magic's a dude of a certain age, man. You can't call black men of that generation lazy or infer that they might be. Like, do you know how furious he was when his assistant was probably reading him the email? They talking about me on the computer? What? Like, Magic was probably fired hot, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, an old man, yeah, they CC'd you in the email. They said it's an accident. Yeah, I believe that was an accident. So I'm sure Magic just went off the deep end at that point. And when he went to Jenny to come for Buddy job, and Jenny was like, nah, we keeping him. You see what I'm saying? His hands were tied at that point. He didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And, of course, he don't want to ruin his brand ambassador hustle that he got. So, you know, he's going to be back in a few years. He'll probably do more Dodger stuff and all of that because his name in L.A. is his name. So he's going to keep getting money. But you didn't hire him to crunch numbers. You hired him to kiss babies and cut ribbons. Like, let's not try to turn this into something else. Jeanie Buss is bad at her job, dude. Let's just be honest. She was trained to run the business. Like, she's really good at partnerships, understanding, you know, new markets, how to get endorsement deals and all of that stuff. But when it comes to running the franchise, she appears to take opinions from everybody and weigh them all the same. And, you know, you just get this weird way of managing things where she just has done a horrible job, similar to her brother. And never forget, she used Magic to run her brother off that damn job. Magic got with her, colluded, and they went with the board and forced the brother out. So let's not forget that Magic, you know, he's thinking about that as well. Like, look, I'm the one who helped you get this again, to take it from your brother. So I'm less down on Magic. I'm more focused on Raggedy Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss, man, because you calling Kurt Rambis and them?
I've never seen anybody whose name is that mud in the league, though. Like, you know, so I look around. I've called people just to ask questions, and you know, I've read the articles, watched the videos, and like everybody talks about this dude. I'm like, what? Listen, I've never seen anybody in any sport. I'm talking about any league whose name is this mud.
At least, look, not someone who just got a job as big as this one. Like, how did he get?
Yeah, like yo, I didn't know. I didn't know his name was this bad inside the industry. It's crazy.
Yeah, and think about the industry we're talking about. We're talking about some raggedy dudes. So it's like, dude, was you like out here like Pretty Tony? Was you not giving people, you know what I mean, giving people they call when you poach one of their players? You know what I'm saying? Your player just chose me. Yeah, right.
Your player chose me.
What was he doing? Like, you're right. What was he doing to piss off
Kobe
that
wasn't,
industry?
He wasn't Kobe's
the only
original.
One story.
He wasn't his original agent either, so it's probably some shadiness there too.
Well,
the only one story I heard
along
is
with
he was before,
so I can understand that.
Before he had his own agency, he supposedly worked for a bigger firm, and he supposedly stole a bunch of stuff and made a bunch of lies in order to take people to his firm when he started out solo. So it kind of like rubbed the whole industry the wrong way. And then in between,
kind of like he did with Magic, putting his business out there, telling people that Magic wasn't, coming to work and he didn't do anything, so he can get everybody on his side. Yeah, it sounds.
So they said that he's supposed to be like a notorious liar and all that kind of stuff. So people just don't respect this guy, and that's crazy. Like, he's the real Mamba. He's the snake. But
right,
you're right about that. The whole time people were blaming Magic like nobody wants to do a deal. Like they weren't doing a deal to spite the other guy.
Yeah, they can't stand that dude, man. So I don't know. We're gonna get some more information because people are gonna start leaking stuff, especially when he loses, this job eventually. That's when the claws will really come out. People will really start leaking info. But either way, though, dude, this is it's a bad situation. But I think we kind of oversell it because look, dude. Players worried about weather. They worried about what women are there. They're worried about are they parking close. They're worried about what the city has to offer. Like this whole thing to where players are really, really, really worried about management is more like the industry talking for itself. When we make the free agency meetings into like these boardroom situations of like, dude, y'all worked on that presentation for 5 hours. That dude walked in there, ate the meal, and had no plans on signing with y'all because he had no plans on signing with y'all, but he damn sure was coming to the event. You know what I'm saying? Like, we turned it into people are being swayed in the boardroom. Well, we showed Kevin Durant the ways that he would be able to get the ball and score in Golden State. I remember they said that for the F5 year. Nah, he was planning on coming with y'all regardless. Like, you ain't need to explain to KD how he gets shots. Like,
remember the Clippers called in Blake Griffin, and they showed his jersey getting raised in the Raptors.
And then they called a few people and they said, boy, y'all better trade that dude. Bad knees, kind of old. And y'all better get rid of that dude. And they sure as hell did. So it is what it is. But the industry likes to speak about itself in ways to make them way more important than what they are. Similar to the analytics community, middle finger to all of y'all. Some of y'all respect the ones who actually, did some clinics, did some coaching or playing, and respect basketball and aren't trying to turn it into a damn RPG of 2s and 3s across across the screen. Like, dude, do y'all remember when teams had their own style because of the talent that you drafted? So if you were the Cavaliers and you were sorry, you got Mike Fratello and you said, we'll slow this thing down and we'll win in this fashion because this is the talent that we have. Now we got everybody playing the same way and we're crediting the coaching for win. Like, this is insane, bro.
But you know what's crazy, though? It's so many things to what you just said, right? So I remember Golden State would run TMC. They had a certain level of talent, so they played a certain way. But these teams, man, like the future of the game is going to be very interesting with everybody doing the same thing with the analytics. It's really, really, really going to be interesting because, I mean, we're going to have a league full of people just running around jacking. I mean, we almost do. Like, watching the Bucks play, it's like that's what they do. Yeah. So it's almost like we already have that, man. So it's kind of nasty, but this is kind of like where we're at with the game. But it's definitely nasty, though.
Right. With that said, I'm enjoying it. I'm not trying to be the old guy, waving that cloud. I'm just saying, if this keeps going, we're going to lose a lot of creativity, and we're gonna miss out on a lot of things that made the NBA what it is as far as being a special league. But man, thanks for letting me on, y'all.
But you know what though? Real quick, Notch, to your point, as we get more analytics and more threes, the other thing we get is more dramatic. It's like that meme I always show you, Dev, like days since the NBA hasn't been dramatic, and it's like zero. The NBA is just it's just as much about what happens off the court as it is what happens on the court. And the NBA has kind of like been a topic of discussion. I remember back in the day, it seemed like when the season was over, it was over, and no one even talked basketball. You know what I'm saying? Until the season started. Right, because
we used to talk about how the NFL dominated the news cycle all year round.
Now the
NBA,
man.
like,
we want to be drama.
Y'all
remember when the reality TV drama game.
Right. You remember when ESPN tried to roll out that entertainment arm of ESPN? They have Mario Lopez, and they tried to roll it out, and everybody rejected it. If they rolled that out now, it would work, but it may have been a little too early. But I think you're right on that, man. A lot of the 24/7 media stuff is just like fluff stuff or what ifs to the point of just
more 3-point shots. More 3-point shots and more drama.
Hey, can we get to the All-NBA teams and how reporters should not be able to affect people's salary, or the idea of whether you get a supermax or not is based on, well, I don't think Klay Thompson deserves it, or I got a bone to pick with LeBron. So I ain't putting him like this is.
It's weird. Like, after all the years of seeing people get snubbed for things like Hall of Fame and these kind of teams by reporters, it's crazy that you're actually agreeing to contracts that have something to do with the opinion of a reporter. I'm like, hell no. Like, if my team, like, come on, y'all know what I'm doing out here. I don't need, Shitlock or nobody like that to tell you that I'm worthy of getting this suit. That's weird to me, man. That is so weird to me.
Yeah, and if we're keeping it a buck, you give the average reporter, even beat reporters for that part, give them 3 questions with Pop and see if by question 2 they're asking some narrative stuff and trying to answer get him to answer their own question, and Pop will expose them for not actually watching or understanding what they were seeing in front of, which Pop does all the damn time. But a lot of times they deserve it, man, because, man, the reporters we're talking about, those guys, man, come on, dude. Right. I can't get it. But either way, man, y'all hold it down. I'm going to, hang back and listen.
All right,
to hell with Toronto for trying to win, man. Stop trying to ruin the finals for us. Let us watch raggedy Milwaukee.
All right, man. I'll let you know.
Take it easy.
All right. We got some more calls waiting. Line's blowing up. We got Tobias calling in from Arizona. What up, Tobias?
What's going on, fellas? Roll damn tide, baby.
Roll damn tide.
Roll damn tide.
You know, here's the thing. I was about to say that analytics asked when we're going to pick up my line. But,
well, analytics say if we hold off for another 2 minutes, that's a much, that's a better percentage shot than us picking it up after 30 seconds. So we get a chance to get ready, all kinds of bullcrap. But what's your thoughts on the whole Magic situation, man?
If that's his sister, good Lord, I wonder how he is when he hate the woman. Goodness. The thing, right? She can say he wants to about Rob Pelinka here. How the hell can you have the power to hire somebody? How the hell will people give you final say on hiring, firing if you're never in the damn building? It's like Magic.
Because you can work because it's 2019, man. What you got to be in the building for, though? Let's be real, though. About what do you have to be in the building for in 2019?
Can he at least be around? It's like if they don't even see him.
What I'm saying is, let's be real. In my Tobias voice, let's be honest here, right? He was at every game. He just wasn't there day to day. But in 2019, what do you have to be there for day to day?
Magic came for the fun stuff. I'm going to the game tonight.
We've seen the game. But what I'm saying is, in 2019, you ain't got to be there. You ain't got to be there day to day.
Jim.
And I'm not defending him but he told her that up front.
Here's the thing. Him going to the game is like watching TV at work, watching Channel 1 at school. Shout out to Channel 1, Lisa Ling. But here's the thing. Magic Johnson, my thing was, why did they hire him in the first place? The guy was never going to be a good – he's never been a grinder. You have to be in Serbia scouting guys or like watching Belmont play and find the next P.J. Tucker, the 6'5" fat guy who played center in college, I think. But that's what those guys.
I wouldn't say why, because their thinking behind it, in my belief, is pretty obvious. Like Magic Johnson is an icon. A part of why he was almost getting in trouble for tampering is because dudes wanted to talk to him, and everybody figured everybody who went to talk to him might end up being a Laker one day. So.
Listen, man.
That's a big part of it. He's Magic Johnson, so they felt, the Lakers have been striking out the last few years as far as free agents go. They thought he was going to get
here's the one thing.
He got LeBron. I don't even know if we would have given him the credit, but
we could have got LeBron.
He got LeBron.
Right. LeBron James is there, whether we want to give him the credit or not.
LeBron gave him the credit in the shop. LeBron said that he was one of the reasons I came here because he met me at my house the minute he could. Rob Pelinka wasn't there. It was Magic.
But LeBron also knows the value of drama as well. LeBron knew what the hell he was doing.
Absolutely he does. Absolutely
he was
does.
not coming
But my whole point in that is
whether we give him the credit or not,
you say
LeBron is there, so that's on his watch. So you got to give him credit.
Because here's how it works, man. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So she wanted to be the HNIC, so to speak, and that's what she got. So if you say how can you be successful? If you say, I ain't want to use that word, that's toxic. If you want to say, how can you be successful not being there? My thing is, how can you hire someone who's telling you up front, I'm not gonna be here, and in his Magic voice, I ain't gonna be here. So I can't knock him if he's telling you up front, I ain't gonna be here, and you still hire him.
My thing is, it's like. To me, he did more damage with that going on TV doing that, especially the day he hired a new coach. And, you can say you want to about Frank Vogel, but, let's just be honest here, guys. The Lakers are – I never thought I would say this. The Bulls are better run than the Lakers right now. At least the Bulls are –
I agree.
Hey, I don't know which ones are – the Bulls front office is delusional, too. They're probably still blaming Derrick Rose being hurt for all their problems. But you cannot, to me, in my opinion, you can't just base your strategy on hoping a free agent signs with you. I think you should build your team up and probably trade for that guy if you know he ain't coming back, or at least have a solid foundation. Because just hoping that guy's going to come, happens if that guy doesn't come? What's your plan B?
Got no damn plan B, man. With the Lakers.
Yeah.
Only plan A
and
around here.
I gotta say this about the Warriors, right? Ever since KD got hurt, I'm talking about white hot, Hiroshima level heat hot take coming out right now. I know Golden State is playing great, but can we be honest about this? They played the Trailblazers. They're a good team, but they ain't great. I didn't know Evan Turner was still in the league. You know.
Forget
but the
it.
thing is, but see, I know they won those 73 games. But 73-9 blew a 3-1 lead. The first year they won the title, Kyrie and Kevin Love was hurt. Playing injuries, everybody had to look. But it wasn't like these guys were like the bad boy Pistons, so the Bulls just running through everybody. It was fortunate. And how many chips they would have won if KD never showed up? Because the thing KD gives them is when Matthew Dellavedova would be giving Steph Curry that work and making Steph Curry crawl to his shell, KD can get you that bucket. Because there were plenty of games in these past 2 seasons where LeBron was giving them that work, and KD got them buckets because KD could make them work on D. So
I mean, here's the thing. I don't like having this argument because how do we know one way or another?
Down.
All we doing is speculating. On both sides of this, that's all we doing is speculating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but here are the facts. The facts are the last 35 games without KD and Steph playing, they're 34-1. Right? That's a fact. The last 35 games without Steph and KD playing, they 9-25 or something, 9 and something stupid like that. But I'm not saying they don't need KD because I mean, how could you say you don't need someone who is essentially a Hall of Fame player?
Right.
Who doesn't want to have
arguably
a Hall of Fame player? I think because to me, I look at it a different way, Tobias. To me, the luxury that he gives them is Steph taking off those games, even though they lose most of them. But I think him and Steph, Dev asked the question, my question, when you was in a group, how these dudes get so many days off? They get so many days off because he's there. You know what I'm saying? So I think, I think that gives them that luxury. But the number let's get in our analytics bag. They show that they're a better team without KD and with Steph than versus with KD and without Steph. That's not saying that they don't need him.
I tell you why. The team was built for Steph Curry. You got a bunch of stiffs like Kevon Looney setting screens, setting them and getting Curry open. And Curry's in great shape. He runs people around. The one thing that I want people to notice about this team takes a lot of mid-range jumpers for a team that's a great three-point shooting team. They take a lot of mid-range jumpers, and they just take a lot of threes, a lot of mid-range jumpers that have diversified offensive set, and they're great on defense. The reason Houston used to lose to San Antonio all the time was Pop was like, hey, these clowns ain't going to take a mid-range jumper. I'm just going to run my three-point line, have Tim Duncan swat their jump. You know? And this team was built because around Steph Curry, his skill set, which a smart team does. Like the Cleveland team did with LeBron. They put the team around his skill set. And that's what you're supposed to do. But KD does give them that luxury where if he has to make Klay Thompson dribble, he could pick up the slack. If Steph Curry's having an off game, KD could pick up that slack and bring you home. And I think that's the thing right there because right now Portland couldn't make that. And here's the other thing about this team. They built so well where they can put some guys defense that Steph don't have to with anybody. And I think they're so smartly built. But we must also realize the game has to be played. Iguodala's older, may get hurt. Livingston's older. A smart team may let Draymond shoot 5 threes. He makes them. He just makes them. You know, so I won't go off saying that they'll beat every great team in history by 30 points. I think they'll probably win it, but I will hold off on saying they're better without KD.
No, I don't think they're better without KD. I think the whole thing is, and the reason why people are saying they're better. Like they move the ball the way, like you said, the way they were intended to, the way the offense was originally built for this team. They get to move the ball. KD is so good, and this sounds cliche, but it's just like when you have anybody of that level on the floor. It's going to be a lot of ISO, and a lot of dudes going to find themselves standing around waiting for him to do his thing. And it's no different here, even though Steph is, just as high on the totem pole as KD. But, KD is a different animal. So the offense is a little more stagnant when he's there. But with him in the lineup and with everybody else there full strength, it just makes them that more scary. Like, because I don't think they would have just dominated the league had he never come there, even though, they had just gone 73-9. I don't think it would have been a given every year that they were going to win the title. But I think you add KD to that team, and it's like nobody's going to beat these dudes. They're going to win the championship until he leaves or until this team gets. I think that's what he adds. But they can still beat most teams on most nights, and they've proven that even when he's not in the lineup because the team turns into a different type of team. All right, but we holler at you, Tobias. Peace, man. All right, we still rocking here. We got Rob calling in from Cali, Lakerland. Rob, what's going on, good brother? What's your thoughts, man, on Magic Johnson? You mad at him or no?
Oh, what's up, y'all? Hey, how y'all doing, man? It's your boy Rob, a.k.a. Going down with the ship, man. Don't come in the captain about going down with the ship. How y'all doing, man?
All right, how you?
I'm good. I wish B. Austin was here, man, so I can hear his thoughts, but he ain't here. I tried to look up objective. Who cares? Who? I'm looking at the list. Listen, it's about the summertime. I ain't got time to think about no EJ, PJ, or whatever.
That's
you
what
know
I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying?
You talking about you
I'm looking at Yokio. I'm looking at Yoki. I'm looking at Chalet. I'm looking at all different types of different types. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, man. You mad at Magic or no?
Here's the thing. I try to look up objectively, and so I look at it like Magic, as big as he's a Laker, he tried to protect his brand. And the thing is that in doing that, he threw the Lakers under the bus. Like some of it, I believe it was true, and some of it I believe it is his truth, as well as maybe he was out of the office. Of course, because he got stuff to deal with, stuff like that. But the thing is that Magic massaged the media, or tried to massage the media into being on his side, and I think. Because it was the same day as they're doing a new coach and they're trying to get the team back together, right? And so the thing is, Magic's basically just trying to protect his brand, and may not look good for the Lakers. I don't believe that it was like what the guy with Other Clark was saying, the born before B. Austin. Not I'm just gonna be Austin, Tobias, dude. It doesn't matter about vacation spots and this and that. New York has been the Big Apple, one of the biggest markets in years. They don't have any big time free agents who came there since forever. I can't remember. Like Carmelo was a trade, so it doesn't matter. Amari. But other than that,
injured.
But other than that, what? Who else?
No,
exactly.
Make a counterpoint. I was just giving you the name.
But other than that, who else? It's about the organization structure. Just like what Tobias said about Chicago being the best, better than the Lakers organization right now. Yeah, he is right. For crying out loud, dude, they have something to build on. The Lakers organization is so dysfunctional. Here, I might go here and get some non-black yams, you know what I'm saying, or mixed yams. But that's how dudes get down out here. But that's how dudes get down. Hey, don't blame me, blame Swaggy P. But
the Lakers have plenty to
Kobe.
build on. So, like we always tell you, once you get into the LeBron James business, then it's no longer about building. It's about acceleration. And all of those building pieces are, if they can get what they want, those building pieces are going to be gone. But we can't say that they don't have something to build on. But when you have 16, 17 titles, however many titles they have, they're not used to having to wait as long as they've had to wait. So, you did end up landing that big free agent. So it's time to speed it up because his career isn't going to, go on forever. He only has a 4-year contract. You got 3 more years to try to win a championship with LeBron James. So a lot of those building pieces.
Rob, I don't know but somebody
that's right, Rob.
Pause.
You got a lot of noise going on your phone, man.
Oh, can you hear me? We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
No,
right, make a quick point, man, because we got to roll. Make your last point.
I want to hear you speak, man, or Jimmy can time, man. I didn't hear Jimmy.
All right, well, just stay on the line.
All right, but yeah, man, but yeah, like real quick before I go back to the Lakers, yo. Thank God that Carson Wentz came out of his knee brace. I'm going back to church, so every time I go to the altar, I pray for myself, my family, and last but not least, I pray for Carson Wentz all the way at the end. So yeah, Carson Wentz got his knee brace. He ain't got nothing wrong with OTAs. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will trade for a pass rusher because that's the biggest need they need. I think the offensive tackle that they got is going to start from either the third game, but probably day 1, he's going to start because Jason Pierce on his last leg. Now, as far as the Lakers is concerned, I mean, it's the red zone. You're right, because it's the red zone because I would love to have a Tyronn Lue on the team. Like, people can say what they want, but he won a championship. And he's been to a finals a few times, too. So it's like, okay, we have a championship-winning guy. But now you got Frank Vogel. It's like, really? Quite frankly, it's ridiculous. So, I don't know. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna sit back and watch. I don't really expect anything big to happen. Hopefully, I'm wrong and the camaraderie can come together. But the next couple of years, I just expect for LeBron to go. That they break the pieces and put back together. First of all, I do want to say thank War Room Sports for being War Room Sports because everybody has been taking game after game. First they say Toronto Raptors don't have enough pieces. Then Toronto Raptors, then they come back again, and now people are shocked. And now people are talking about Drake, and that's why I like War Room Sports. Y'all just don't jump to –
Toronto won 2 games at home.
Yeah. That's why I don't like watching the mainstream media because it's like they just instant gratification. It's like, dude, like relax. It's a series. It's a series. Like people act like they don't forgot about sports. Like come on now. Like the people have do they have memory loss or they just like that instant gratification?
Yeah, man. We living in a time of entertainment, man. But Rob, we got to move on, man. So we holler at you next week, all right?
Peace.
All right, peace. Yes, this whole Magic thing is definitely.
But what does he do for the black people? Doesn't do anything. You call up and say, well,
he's opened a lot of businesses in inner city neighborhoods.
The Jewish people have. What has he done? Can you tell me? Big Magic Johnson. What has he done?
Well, he's a business person.
He's got AIDS. Did he do any business? I like.
Yeah, what is Donald Sterling doing now? Besides counting his money.
Yo, somebody definitely should have got him and got his opinion on what's going on.
I know. Some bad reporting going on out there in California, man.
Somebody got to fire him. What do you think about? What do you think about Magic?
What has he done?
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, what has he done?
What's he done for the black? Yeah. First of all, you call them the black people.
For the black people.
You call us the black people. All right, man. So Well, that whole saga, we'll see if Mac's words have any lasting effects on the organization, or if Dirty Rob can turn it around. I think we'd all be surprised if he did that. Moving to the NFL, man. That felt weird because I haven't said that word in a couple of years. But the Washington professional football team, we know they signed Reuben Foster when he was suspended last season for a domestic violence charge, and was released by the San Francisco 49ers. And a lot of people said, it was a bad move as far as character is concerned. In OTAs, he was just carted off the field a few days ago, and it's confirmed that he has a torn ACL. And I've heard a lot of my, friends who are fans of this team finally come out and just say, yeah, we're cursed. We're cursed. But the thing is, then, when this dude hurt his knee, there were a lot of people out there who were giggling like this is karma. For them signing him and stuff like that. Do you take it that far? Is it that serious that you're kind of giggling because somebody tore their ACL and you're laughing at the team for signing a guy when, he didn't have any criminal charges as of yet? Everything ended up getting dropped, but people are saying this is karma. That's what they get. That's what he gets. You think people are too hard on these athletes and these teams?
Damn, that's a bit much. Sheesh.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit much. People draw. That's a bit much.
Yeah, people.
That's a bit much.
That's karma. I'm like, damn. The thing is, even when we see stories where it looks like, you're like, all right, this dude looked like he did this. Even if that's what you think, none of us were there. There's no proof because the case ended up going nowhere and getting dropped. So it's once you're guilty in the court of public opinion, man, it really doesn't matter. And there's a lot of people out there who's saying that kind of thing. But this is a major injury for the team because the moves that they've made on the defensive end of the ball, from the time that they picked him up last season to the offseason and everything they've done as far as free agency and the team is looking up. This is a major part of that.
You breaking up a little bit. It's a little choppy.
Okay.
So they ended up yeah.
Oh, that's better. That's better.
They ended up signing somebody to replace him, linebacker, Bostic. But yeah, my main thing was basically dealing with social media and the fans and what everybody thought and people laughing and saying this is karma. I sometimes think that, sports fans and just people in general just take things a little too far. It's really, really not that serious. Shout out to him for a speedy recovery. The Stanley Cup Finals, we just giving a shout out because y'all know, if our team's not in it, we don't really jump on this bandwagon too much. But the Stanley Cup Finals will begin on Monday. First puck drops Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The St. Louis Blues, representing the Western Conference, will be taking on the Boston Bruins. So here we go again,
Come on,
Jimmy.
Man. Not another Boston. Come on.
Well, here we go again with Titletown and, possibly getting another title. And they swept the Eastern Conference Finals to get there. So, they're the hottest team out of the two right now. St. Louis dispatched their series in 6, while Boston swept and has been sitting around waiting. So Titletown might be having another parade, man. Those entitled New Englanders up there.
Yeah,
all right,
man,
now quote of the week. Our quote of the week comes from the world of boxing, and it comes from y'all homie Dominic Brazil, who got hit with possibly the hardest right hand in boxing history when Deontay Wilder almost took his life in the ring this past Saturday. The quote of the week, and he had a nerve to say this, I think the ref stopped it a little early. Dominic Brazil.
Yo.
You've seen slow motion. You've seen fast motion. You've seen memes. You've seen everything chronicling this one-punch knockout. And this dude gets up and says he thinks the referee stopped it a little early. Now, the quote goes on a little bit, but that's the meat of it. That's the craziest part. He said, because I could hear him saying 7 and 8, which you probably, heard that in a dream. But he said, but that's boxing. He did his job and kept us safe for our next fight. I got on my feet and had my legs under me. It's the heavyweight division, so there's going to be big shots from guys with power. This was a situation where he landed a big right hand before I did. I thought I was going to come into the later rounds. I'll be back and go for the heavyweight title again. So after seeing this punch, after seeing this knockout a million times over the past week, is there anything in you, Jimmy, that says, yeah, the ref might have stopped this a little early?
No.
The ref stopped your life from being stopped a little early. That's what he did. He prevented your life from being stopped a little early.
Yeah.
And I'm not even the biggest Deontay Wilder fan because I think his last name is very fitting for him. I think he's wilder than any heavyweight I've ever seen, or any heavyweight champion at least that I've ever seen. But his power is undeniable. And you probably, how would the ref feel? You can't really let a human being get hit with something like that, and then just because he got up when you were on 8 or 9, could let him continue. So he probably did the right thing. And, dude, if he has them, his wife and kids probably thinks he did the right thing. He's just a prideful boxer, and he's just talking at this point. It was crazy. All right, so that's our quote of the week. Our stat of the week comes from the NBA playoffs, and it's about Rodney Hood, who had a pretty good run for the Portland Trail Blazers in this playoff season. But Rodney Hood has, in fact, been swept out of the playoffs by the Warriors for 3 straight years on 3 different teams. So this season, Rodney Hood was swept, as a member of the Portland Trail Blazers by the Warriors. Last year, he was swept in the NBA Finals as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers by the Golden State Warriors. And the year before that, he was swept by the Warriors as a member of the Utah Jazz. I guess because my first thought was going to be Rodney Hood need to get out of the West, but he was out of the West for the second one. So it's really you can't knock him for being on a team that went to the finals. So there's really no advice we can give Rodney Hood besides get out of the NBA or join the Warriors. Pull a Kevin Durant.
Good thing. Good thing about that is he seems to get deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He gets deep into the playoffs, even on the finals. He can't escape them, even if he's in the East or West. So the only advice I have for him is, can't beat him. Do what everybody else does these days. That might be the only thing. And if not, you might have a better chance at it next year, whoever you're with, because, if KD leaves, then this team comes back to the pack a little bit. And hopefully we won't be saying this stat about Rodney Hood for a 4th year in a row. All right, so that's our hot topics. Real quick before we go on to what happened this week while y'all on the grind, man, you can check out our website at warroomsports.com. You can click on that Contact Us tab if you want to send a message about the company, the show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, you can email us at info@warroomsports.com. Just browse the site, buy some memorabilia, read some blogs, listen to the podcast network and all the other great shows we have on the network. But if you want to talk to us right now, you can enter the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/thewarroom. If you have a Blog Talk Radio account, it's easy to do. If not, you have to create an account. Or I think you can still sign in from your Facebook and Twitter accounts as well. Also, if you want to talk to us directly, you can hit us on the Digital Extreme Tech Hotline, 323-410-0012. Just press 1 when prompted if you're already listening from your phone. Just press 1 if you want to holler at us. All right, Jimmy, what the hell happened this week? While everybody was out there trying to make that good money,
Yes, sir.
Consciously,
While you were
might
on the
I
grind,
add, unlike Dominic Brazil. Probably still asleep.
While you were on the grind is brought to you by Sports the Book. Bottom line, this is the greatest single sports book ever written, and you got to get down with it. If you don't have it already, you can find it a couple places. You can go to sportsthebook.com, or you can go to the hub, warroomsports.com, and pick up the book, but you do not want to miss the movement. So it's time to talk about the things that happened this past week while you were on the Griznai, as my homie Young Zeezy would say. Oh, no, who's that? Scrap say that. Yeah,
Scrappy.
Griznai. Yeah. Shout out to all the people that watch, Ratchet TV. But
on the Griznai.
Zeke Elliott. On the Griznai. Zeke Elliott was cuffed but not arrested at a Vegas festival. I thought Zeke Elliott was, taking better care of himself, but it seems that he's still, he didn't get arrested now, but just got cuffed. But, that's enough to make the news.
Funny thing is, the whole thing was like a misdemeanor battery. He was at some festival, and he pushed a security guard, to the ground. And they said when the officers approached him and placed him in handcuffs and was investigating the incident, it was that guy who he pushed who refused to press charges. So they, basically uncuffed him and let him go. So dude probably was beefing at first, realized it was Zeke Elliott. He probably a card-carrying member of Cowboy Nation, and decided this is more important than my pride. So I'm going to go ahead and not press charges so my Cowboys have a better chance. And this is all speculation. I just made all of that up. But not the part about, the guy not pressing charges. That is why Zeke Elliott didn't get in trouble. But, I would, if I had to guess, there's Cowboy fans everywhere. So I would guess he recognized him, didn't want his team to get in trouble. And it is what it is. Like you said, we've been hearing lately from the Cowboy brasses about how mature Zeke Elliott is now, and he's growing up fast and growing up right before our eyes. And then, as soon as they're saying all that stuff because it's almost contract time, then something like this happens. Like, come on, Zeke, don't mess up your money. You're out here shoving dudes.
Yeah. Listen, next story I want to talk about is this, man. Part-time basketball player LeBron James, he partnered with Walmart to feed hungry families. So Bron is out there.
You mean producer and philanthropist LeBron James? I don't know nothing about basketball.
Producer, philanthropist, hashtag more than an athlete, which is a dope brand that he created because I've seen so many athletes using it now, jumping on that bandwagon. Hashtag more than an athlete. But more than an athlete, LeBron has partnered with Walmart to feed hungry families. The funniest joke I saw on this was our brother Tobias already called in and said, half of those families he feeds probably work at Walmart.
What they paying people at Walmart, they would be the hungry families. That's a great point.
That's a funny ass joke. Although I read somewhere that it's only the low people on the very low at the end that don't get paid. They said the average Walmart manager makes like $1.80.
Damn.
It's just the underlings that don't get no bread.
I'm about to go to Walmart. See what they talking about.
Managers.
They got to give LeBron props on this because this is like less than a week after he announced a $1 million grant to promote physical activity for the students at his school, the I Promise School in Akron. Now he's going to be a leading spokesperson for this venture with Walmart, and it's called the Walmart Fight Hunger Spark Change campaign, which raises money for feeding America through the purchase of participating Walmart products. So shout out to Bron doing something else, partnering up with somebody else to help other people. Shout out to producer and philanthropist LeBron James and former basketball
And by the way,
player.
we were talking about it. We were talking about it yesterday, but for those out there who don't know, got the audio book, Kindle book called LeBron Inc., which is a pretty dope read. It's not that long either, and it breaks down LeBron and his several business and how LeBron got into the NBA and got into business more or less. So I think that's a pretty good read. But Let's talk about the Fab Five. We haven't talked about that in a while because nothing's really going on with it. But Juwan Howard, remember that Fab Five? He's just been hired as Michigan's head coach. Now, Juwan Howard has been an assistant in the NBA for what seems like forever.
Right.
And I always wonder when he would get an opportunity. So I guess this is his way of kind of like, working through the ranks. Head coach of Michigan is a pretty good job, though. You might not even want to come to the NBA.
His name was in the hat for the Lakers job, considering he was an assistant and a player with LeBron and those Miami Heat championship teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he's joining Penny Hardaway, Patrick Ewing. They're calling this a growing trend in basketball where they're bringing back ex-stars. At this point, these stars are basically from the 80s and 90s, and now they're going back to coach their alma maters, which is pretty dope because if you look at it on the other side of what that can do for it, you can look right to Penny Hardaway, who's already got the #1 recruiting class in the nation. That's saying a lot when Coach K usually can just snap his fingers like he's Thanos or somebody, and half the other recruits will go away and all the good ones will come to Duke. He pushed Coach K down to the #2 recruiting class just that quick because of all the talent that he can attract being who he is and, having a reputation with a particular school. So we'll see what Juwan can do.
And Penny put that work into the AAU ranks too.
Right. So he got credibility with those kids. He can get the best kids that were going away from the state, and now he can get them to, stay in state and rock with him.
Now I just want to see where Imani Bates goes, but I got 3 years to wait and see where that happens because,
wherever you're going to go, he's going to go angrily. He's going to be real angry when he makes his
Somebody got sucker punch Young Boy. Young Boy will be way too strongly angry.
It's coming.
But
somebody old school out there, and they're not gonna go for those antics. But he's angry for no reason.
I don't care. I don't really care if you are 10 times better than me. Ain't no freshman gonna do that though, yo. But anyway, salute to Juwan Howard, man. It'd be interesting to watch and see how things transpire with him as the head coach, because they might throw him under the bus faster than anybody else. Last thing to talk about real quick that happened while you were on the grind. Game of Thrones finally wrapped up.
One point I want to make. Jalen Rose basically came out and he thinks that Juwan Howard going to Michigan is going to do a lot to get the Fab Five back together. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if they can get C-Webb.
About to say the Fab Five together. It's just C-Webb, like
the Fab Four.
Let's say what it is.
Without the best cat.
C-Webb's the only one. C-Webb is so trash. He's a trash human being. You won't be friends with him anyway. Anyway, the Game of Thrones finale has aired, and fans are up in arms, as I predicted weeks ago. Here's what's interesting about that to me. So I'm somebody who watched since season 1. We do have Brothers of the Watch, which is you can find on our YouTube channel. We talk about Game of Thrones. We haven't done a recap of the last episode. We will, though. We've been talking about it.
How about that? I got to
decompress and watch it a couple times. Yeah, we would decompress and watch it a couple times. But what's interesting to me is I had problems with it, right? But I have problems with every episode. But people are so overwhelmingly drawn that I found myself defending it, and I didn't even want to be the person to defend it because I had problems with the episode. But people were overreacting. And
see, but it's not even just the episode. And let me put this out there for everybody listening as well. I can't say I've never watched. I watched the first episode of this last season. That's the only episode of Game of Thrones that I've ever seen. I fell asleep on that. I'm not saying that to knock the show. I was just tired as hell. And anything I sit down and watch after 9 o'clock, I'm going to fall asleep on. So maybe one day I'll get around to it, but I don't really have the need, Jimmy, because being a part of this, with the War Room Sports Game of Thrones group that we have, Brothers of the Watch, I watched those episodes as well, and just considering that everybody who watches Game of Thrones spoils it on social media, like I know more about Game of Thrones than the average person that's never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm entertained by it, not even watching it. So, some of these conversations I can kind of get. I know characters, I know faces, I know all that kind of stuff. It's been that serious.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, let me give everybody my perspective. My perspective is just watching timelines. So not even just the last episode, maybe for the last 3 episodes is when all the complaints started. And, you know, my timeline would get worse and worse every week. And then when it came down to the finale episode, the people who were already mad at the prior 2 episodes, they were just, like, livid. Like, they were livid because I guess, you know, they didn't close it out in a manner where they thought was correct. And a point that Jimmy always makes to us in these conversations is you can never end. I mean, it's very difficult, not never, but it's very difficult to end a great show in a manner that's going to satisfy a lot of
funny,
people.
Right? So here's the thing, right? So I saw this happening because I saw the momentum, and it's like anything else on the internet. Once everybody jumps on one side, people just pile on. And then you'll have some people who will against it just for the sake of going against it. It's pretty much everything on the internet. I can go on the internet right now and put up a picture of a stick, and half of the people will go off and tell me why that stick is stupid, and the other half will defend the stick, although the stick actually means nothing to me. That's just what the internet is. But what's funny to me about this, I saw this happening, and once the momentum shifted in terms of how it was going to be trashed, that's what it was. But a lot of things that happened to, and are what people predicted. I'm like, so you knew this was a possibility, but you're so mad. The other thing I thought about in reference to what you just said is, I don't know any show that I've watched that I've liked the ending. I hate it, and that includes sitcoms, by the way. I hate the way Martin ended. I hated the way How I Met Your Mother ended. We talk about dramas. I think
I hated how Seinfeld ending was trash. Martin really never ended. It turned into the Pam show.
The Wire was okay. I thought Breaking Bad was absolutely trash. Like, I don't. And it was funny because my wife is a TV addict. She watches pretty much everything. And I asked her, I said, "Can you give me one show that ended well for you?" And she was like, "No." I'm like, "So it doesn't matter what they did early."
Yeah. I mean, first of all, you're in your. This is what people don't realize anyway. First of all, if you spent years, building a love for something, you're already in your feelings that it's ending in the first place. So you're already ready to be critical because you're already just mad that it's going away. And then with Game of Thrones, it's kind of like, okay, they took the hiatus, so there was an extra year in between.
Anticipation.
And, it makes it even worse that you're not satisfied because everybody's going back and saying, oh, well, they had 2 years to do this, they had 2 years to do that. But it was a whole interesting situation because we talk about hot takes all the time, and, hot takes aren't reserved for sports because a lot of the stuff that you named, and I didn't really like the ending to shows that I watch, I still love the show in retrospect.
Yeah,
there are people who love this show but are acting like they're just totally jumping off board because they didn't like how it ended. I've seen people say, I wasted 8 years of my life. I'm like, but you talked about this show every week of those 8 years, and for us people who didn't watch the show, you told us how stupid we are for not watching the greatest show of all time, and you're going to let 3 episodes? You're going to let 3 episodes say that you wasted 8 years on this? Like, come on, that's hyperbole if I've ever seen it. I saw people getting up the next day, greeting everybody on Facebook, except for the writers of Game of Thrones. Like, great day to everybody, except for, I forgot their names, but when I saw it, I knew exactly who they were talking about.
But here's what's crazy, right? So part of the success and part of the love of the show is also kind of what hurt the show. And what I mean by that is it was a well-written show with there's no main character. So there's probably like 10 to 15 people who were all quote-unquote main characters, right?
Right. Because that's what I hear a lot too, Jimmy. Like, when people get mad, they be like, well, who do you think should have gotten the throne? So that's
exactly.
The question
So the thing is, now when you have 10 people who are main characters, you have everybody is team this or team that. So you're going to piss somebody off anyway, right? So that's the first thing.
You're going to piss 9 out of 10 people off, basically.
Yeah, so the second thing with that same thing is because of the popularity of the show, there are things that go on behind the scenes which actually affect the show, such as the show is so popular, you have 10 people now asking for $1 million an episode. There was literally one of the characters whose name was Cersei, who did nothing this past season but pretty much look out the window and said maybe a couple words, and she got $1 million an episode. So one of the reasons why the show had to end or whatever is because the finances started getting so crazy because, like, people were demanding this based upon the success of the show. So
that's crazy, though, because when I sit at home and look out the window, I probably lose money while I'm doing that. Because I could be doing something else. You know what I mean? I'm sitting wasting time looking out the window.
But she's one of the main. Like, the show doesn't work without her, so she got grossly overpaid pretty much the entire season. So it's crazy. Like, the success of the show and the reason why it's successful kind of hurt it, like, you know, on the outside and on the inside of the show. But at the end of the day, you know, like what you just said is the greatest point of all, which I haven't made, and I have to go into the group and make that. Like, some of you guys are throwing away the whole show based on 3 episodes. Meanwhile, you know, your husband cheated on you 3 times, but you're still with him. But that's either here nor there.
But no, I saw some crazy things, and it was shocking to me because I'm like, yo, this was the same person. You couldn't tell them nothing about Game of Thrones. Like, 'cause I was never one of the people. Because, you know, for some reason, Game of Thrones became so popular that there were the people that didn't watch it. They started to wear that as a badge of honor. So you would see people loudly proclaiming, I've never seen one episode. Like, I tell you that I've never seen an episode because I've never seen an episode. I'm not saying it because I'm puffing my chest out. Like, I've never seen an episode of that shit. Like, it's like, I didn't understand that. But you know how it is. And when you love something, the haters will come out. And that's exactly what it is. The whole dynamic around the show, to me, is amazing, man. How it makes everybody feel is amazing.
Guess what's about to happen now? So what happens now is the last season of Power is getting ready to start. So they're about to start going in on this too. Although Power probably should have ended 2 years ago, but
Ghost about to be Power should have ended when 50 got burned to death and didn't get burned to death.
Yo, he got burned to death and stabbed in the heart.
And beat up.
People forget that part. He got stabbed in the heart and the building got lit on fire. My man walked out and they got with a better crew. He popped back up with a better crew. Well,
I gotta hurry up,
but
though,
anyway,
because I didn't even watch the last season, so everybody's building up. I couldn't even watch a Breakfast Club interview with Notori and what's the name because I didn't watch last season yet. I know they probably was spoiling
stuff.
Got
the patty balls.
So I gotta hurry up because I do like to see interviews with her.
Her and her
but
twin.
It's interesting to me as an outsider of how Game of Thrones makes everybody feel. Even the people who don't watch it. Like, why are you proud that you never, like, why do you have to proclaim
because that's anything popular. That is what we call the Kobe Bryant, LeBron James effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Or anything somebody loves. You see how people, like, what we do here, we objectively talk about everything. But if somebody, if we get on somebody's team that's calling in, like, they'll come in and take a shot at one of our teams because they didn't like me. Like, okay. And then some people out there for no reason, like they just hate on your teams, hate on your city because they know how you love something. It's just human nature. I don't understand why.
Listen, man, for our listeners out there, I'm going to give you a bit of advice right now. In life, nothing is as bad as people say, and also nothing is as good as people say. The truth usually is somewhere in the middle. And that's pretty much with everything. And Rob mentioned it earlier where he's like, man, you guys talk about it different than everybody else because most of the stuff is just hyperbole, man. Like, it always falls somewhere in the middle. Like, and I think that this playoffs is the absolute, like, it's been getting this way, but these
the
playoffs,
worst we've ever seen.
I think it's hit its apex, and it has to, like, come back, has to regress to the mean or something. Like, it has to come back down because the hyperbole is just ridiculous. The Milwaukee-Toronto hyperbole is like, come on, cuz, from game to game.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, Jim, if you think about it, nothing really happened.
Yeah,
they won 2 games at home, and then Toronto won 2 games at home. That's usually what happens in series, like especially like conference finals. That's usually what happens because you have the 2 best teams in the conference. They won 2 games at home. Then they came back and won 2 games at home. That's usually what happens.
Yes, like but this whole thing of this is the best team, they're going to win the finals. He's the best player in the world, and he's the best player in the world. This whole thing is like, and I understand they got spots to fill, and they trying to get people excited.
Giannis and Kawhi go back and forth, game by game. Not even just since this series, but since probably the second round of the playoffs. They've gone back and forth every game as the new best player in the world.
Yo,
especially
I
since KD got hurt.
Yesterday,
because he was in it too.
Yesterday that Giannis has been exposed and as a fraud. I'm like, really?
I saw that.
Really?
Yo, but when KD was frying in the beginning and people were questioning Steph and his legacy, now Steph's legacy is like,
now
he's
Steph
like
is Mount Rushmore.
He's Mount Rushmore. He may have surpassed Magic as the greatest point guard of all time. Y'all were saying a whole different thing about him when KD was playing, and that was only like 4 games ago. KD played 4 or 5 games ago.
Shitlock said yesterday that Steph Curry's legacy has a better legacy in resume than LeBron James, and I generally don't even agree with Kendrick Perkins.
They were calling Steph a playoff choker like a couple weeks ago who had the benefit of playing on a great team.
What's funny is Kendrick Perkins is irritating, but I think his irritating. I'm actually starting to like his irritating. So I find him funny for some reason. I think it's the way.
Some of his stuff has been a little positive for me lately, especially on that. I think when you get on that show, people who didn't mess with you before will start to mess with you if you give any, pushback.
That's true. That's
to
true.
the crap that Shitlock is talking about.
That's true.
So Shitlock made you like him.
But I think it's a combination of that, and I laugh at his accent, although that's not. I mean, that's how he talks. But it sounds funny to me, like this big black
how
country
he and James Harden in the same position, like their big beards make you forget how little their mouths are, Paul.
But Kendrick Perkins is funny. Another thing is funny is when he started reading off LeBron James' resume, I was like, damn, Bron resume, all that. Like, Bron has a resume, but when you hear someone read it out, though, like you know what I mean? Like, someone has a resume, but when you hear it like read out, you're like, damn, 15-time All-Star, 4-time MVP, 3-time Finals MVP, like 9-time Finals MVP. I'm like, yo.
Another thing Perkins does, if none of that works, if all else fails, then he just thought, I know for a fact because he played with all these dudes. That's where he goes. He told me, but I'm like, all right. I see when it's not working for you, Perk. You're just gonna go to the. I know for a fact.
For a fact. So I'm starting to bang with Kendrick Perkins only on that show. I probably don't want to see him on no other show or have a show by himself. Please never do that. Cat Mobley was the Fool Gray. I find him funny too.
What's the dude? Lionel Hollins. Yeah, don't go anywhere and by yourself and be him.
Oh my God!
Stay on shows where I hate the other dudes. So I'm cool with Perk being on with Whitlock. I'm cool with him being on with Clown Herd. I'm cool with him being on with Skip.
I'm dying laughing because I never picked that up until you just said it. He definitely does that. I know for a fact.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when all else fails, he's just like, all right, let me go. Let me play I played in the league with these dudes cards.
I know for a fact.
Right, so
that's hilarious.
Before we get into
what happened while you were on the grind, man. Like, want to get some quick birthday shout outs though?
And y'all look out for this too. We stay teasing this podcast that we never do. But we're gonna do this podcast. We're gonna take a deeper dive into the effects on society that Game of Thrones has. I'm very interested to have that conversation with a lot of people.
Yeah, I know for a fact we're gonna do it.
For a fact, because I know the people. All right, so quick, we got a couple of birthdays, actually a few, just 3. Birthday shout out to Buck Showalter. He turned 62 years old. Shout out Buck. Marvelous Marvin Hagler turned 65 years old. Marvin Hagler was in the ring for probably a couple to a few of the greatest fights I know I've ever seen. I'm going to go ahead and speak for society. He's been in some of the greatest fights you all have ever seen, too. Shout out to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, 65. And we'd like to give a rest in peace shout out. Man, this is somebody that, not on a personal level, but we knew him, met him, have, been around him, watched his career because he's a Philly youngin'. And I'm talking about Rasul Butler. It would have been his birthday today, but rest in peace to him. Of course, he was born May 23rd, 1979. and he passed on in a car accident on January 31st, 2018. And like I say, he's only a couple years younger than us. So when we were seniors, playing in the Public League of Philadelphia, he was on the scene. He didn't play in the pub. He went to Roman, didn't he? I think he went to Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was on the scene. He was on the basketball scene around that time. So we definitely started to hear of him back then. Watched his whole career, watched him come out with a pretty good career. Rest in peace, shout out to Philly's own Rasul Butler. But before we get into this NBA rap, man, y'all know the drill. Y'all can check out our website, warroomsports.com. But if you want to call in and speak with us about anything going on in the NBA, just dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline at numbers 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted, but if you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to holler at the Generals. Let's talk some b-ball.
Yes, sir. And it's time to talk about this thing of ours, and this is brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, of course you do. And you don't want a Wix site. You want a custom site. Here's how you get that done. DigitalExtremeTech.com, or you call 267-205-4203. Tell them you heard about them through us, and you shall get a specific discount and get your website hooked up. Remember, DigitalExtremeTech.com and 267-205-4203. Thank you, Digital Extreme Tech, for your support of the War Room. It's now time to talk about this thing of ours.
And shout out to Skyview in the chat room. He said Marvin Hagler is actually married to his cousin. He's never met him, though. My question to you, Skyview, is, if she had some issues with him and she called you down there to handle that, would you go handle that without a weapon? Or would you have to take a weapon? I mean, you're getting a little old, so, you might not be as quick as he used to be.
He might not be that quick, but if he land one,
his fist be rocks.
If he land one, it might not be that fast, but if he land one, yeah, listen,
Marvelous Marvin.
Listen, man, y'all man KD and Chris Broussard have been going back, which is crazy, because Chris Broussard Chris Broussard said what everybody else has been saying. KD took exception to it in terms of what his legacy is with Golden State, considering what's going on with Golden State now. And he was just like, playing a what-if game. What if Golden State wins the finals and, without KD, what's he do for his legacy? Everybody's asking these questions, right? This is all I see
KD kind of called him out on his hyperbole because he said something, and KD was like, whoa, it's going to be that serious? But it's KD being in a sensitive bag again, man. You cannot just respond to everybody on social media who says something about you. But he's been trying, because if you look, this one is the one that's highlighted because it's with a TV personality. But KD's been responding to a lot of people on Twitter and Instagram in the last week or so.
I want to preface this conversation by saying this. I recognize that it's easy for me to sit here and say that, because I can't lie and say that if I wasn't in his shoes and people was taking pot shots at me and saying stuff that I wouldn't respond, because sometimes we respond to trolls on the internet even with our a small platform as in comparison to what KD has. So I get it.
I've had dudes ask for my address so they can come across the country and kill me.
Dudes have made death threats to death. They want to bomb his house because of comments online. So I
that's
totally
how much I've responded. I've made people mad.
So I just wanted to preface by saying that. But at the same time, with that platform he has, you have to understand, this is somebody in their mom's house sending this. They'll never see you. Just leave stuff alone. Now, when it comes to, because the thing is, it's not just Broussard. I saw KD responding to fan pages on IG.
Joe Blow on the street. And the thing is,
he wasn't feeling
it's kind of crazy that KD is this sensitive, Jimmy, and he takes things this way, because KD got passes for a very long time with fans, media. That's because everybody at the time was hating and putting all the pressure on LeBron. So he used to get a pass. Remember the only time that somebody in OKC wrote something halfway negative about him. He went and retracted it the next day because KD got mad. I'm like, you got to pass for a long time, dude. Like, now, what Jimmy say earlier in the show, heavy is the head that wear the crown. And a lot of people, some people think you do wear it. A lot of people think you don't wear it. But the fact that you're in that conversation now, you're getting fitted for that crown. If it's too heavy for you, then we can go ahead and take that back. But you can't get mad at everybody. But he and Broussard apparently have this relationship where they get on DMs and they argue, and Broussard, letting him tell it, he said it's not always about basketball. He said they've talked about life, they've talked about religion, they talked about all that kind of stuff. And Chris Broussard used the term text. So Kevin Durant, being, the spiteful person he seems to be at this point in his life, comes out and says, that's cap, because this dude ain't even got my number. So that makes the people who are pro Kevin Durant and anything he says and does believe exactly what he's saying. Broussard came out and defended himself. He's like, okay, a DM, text, it's all the same to me. We're having private conversations was my bottom line. And he said, I have in my phone at least 60 conversations, most of them initiated by Kevin Durant, either because of something I said about him or we talked about other things. I personally, I believe Broussard. Like like Kevin Durant has gotten down to the point in this situation where it's semantics now. Because a lot of us old guys will say something like that. The fact that if I send you a DM on Instagram, Jimmy, or a DM on Twitter, and I go to my phone and I basically do it with my thumbs the same way I would with a text, my old ass would probably call it a text at some points too. So it was a game of semantics. He tried to play Chris Broussard.
But here's my thing, though. I think both of them are right? Because I do think that in Broussard's defense, to him that is a text. It is a text. But I also get not what Katie was saying, because he was trying to play him. But there is something more intimate about texting someone than inboxing them, right? To me, at least.
Right. No, and I agree with that too. And I think the intimacy comes in the fact that on social media, you always think anything that you say when you think you're saying it private could at any minute be put out there because it's not in your hands. It's in a social media platform's hands. So that's how I look at it. I don't know how you look at it, but I think texting is way more intimate, way more secret, way more private.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do the acts the same way. So if you happen to say text, just because that's what you said while you were talking, let's not get into semantics and you ain't got my number. Yeah. Calm down, cuz we've been talking.
And I say all that, and I just want to remind all the ladies out there to listen to our show, because ladies love our show, that my inbox is open if you want to send some pics. You know what I'm saying? It is open for the pics, so just FYI, at JW the Blueprint. But I think that it was they both were right. they both were right. Send them to Tari Knowlton's right to my inbox. But anyway, it's
But another
I think
thing,
they
though,
both
Jim,
were right.
If Broussard's not going to be petty, then he needs to stop emphasizing the fact that I got 60 messages in my phone right now. If you ain't going to show us, then shut up. Like this, if you're not going to be petty, because he keeps saying that, but then says, but I like KD, and out of respect, I'm not going to, then shut up. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because if we're talking about out of
Just
respect, then maybe it's disrespectful that you kind of put that, maybe something he wanted as a secret out there. Maybe he don't want us to know that he runs and talks to y'all privately because he don't like what y'all say. Maybe he think,
How about this? You think KD is slandering you on? KD let his hands go on your dumb ass. You talking about out of respect? But anyway.
All right, exactly.
Yeah,
out of respect. He doing that because he knows you gonna do that.
But because it's crazy, right? Because I spend a lot of time on IG, double up in the buns and whatnot. But I've seen people with celebrities troll them, and then a celebrity responds, and the celebrity will cuss their ass out, and then they respond I got him to respond. Their whole thing is they want the attention.
That's all they trying to do.
So it's you can't win anyway. Even if you clap back and you play their whole life away, if you responded, made their whole life.
They still basically, before you did that, they basically got a group of people around and said, watch this. and you did exactly what they said you
I got a
were
homie that did it yesterday. Right? So my homie Columbo, shout out to my homie Columbo, the one who made the Man Law rap. Like he is a complete troll. He's a complete troll. So I saw
his name almost made my obituary because he was about to be the reason I died the other day.
Yo, he's a complete internet troll, right? And he tells me he's a troll. He's the one I got that Troll House cookies for. He always told me I'm serving these cats these Troll House cookies. So I saw him yesterday. On Instagram trolling Cassidy. And he just kept doing it to be a smart ass. To him, it's fun. When he's at work bored, this is what he does. So he did it yesterday, and the people responded, but you on my page, though. And he said, I got you. But his whole thing, he did the same thing I see people do. Yeah, but you responding. Get off my dick. Like, I'm like, yo, you trolled him into responding to you just to tell him to get off yours. Like, but what my point in saying that is, once you get to a certain level as a celebrity, you guys let it go. Like, you have to. And KD is KD is a top 3 in terms of like popular NBA athlete. I would say KD, Steph, and LeBron. Right? Would you say the same?
Yeah.
In terms
no
of
doubt.
popularity, not game popularity. It's probably those.
No doubt.
So, and maybe Harden because of the beard is mine, but I know there's probably 3. So with that being said, like Steph don't respond to nobody, Bron don't respond. You gotta do the same thing. It's just you, dog.
Hey, sometimes somebody
got
to take KD's phone and his burner phones and whatever else he got. Sometimes he need to just chill. So
you got to kill him with success. But overall, the other thing about this that I find overall funny is when KD was playing and he was cooking, and the whole media and the internet was giving him a blumpkin. He's okay with that. Like you can't.
Yeah, his whole attitude changed. He was nicer in the press conferences.
Yeah, you're not going to always be great, dog. Like you're going to have off games. You got to be good with the bad. Like this is their job is to to build you up, tear you down, and build you right back up again. Like that's what they do. And if you understand that, it's a relationship. So
right.
But
because you see what's happening now. He's not there. They're winning games. Steph is the greatest thing since sliced bread again. KD might come back in the finals if his leg is cool. Get the finals MVP, and they're going to be back on your job. So just, do what you do.
Exactly. Let your game speak for itself. So that's the one thing you have going for you is you're probably better than damn near everybody at playing basketball. So let that speak for you. But look, another thing came out, and I saw a lot of controversy surrounding this, was the All-NBA defense team. So you have this. I know that I saw people pissed at PG-13, but what's the overall list at the first and second team?
I'm tripping, but the first team all defense was Eric Bledsoe, Marcus Smart, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert, and who did I miss? Who did I leave out? I think it was Paul George. Yeah, Paul George. So that was the first team. The second team was Draymond, Kawhi, Joel Embiid, Klay Thompson, shout out to him for making his first all-defensive team, and who was the other guard on that team? It was, wait a minute, I got it right here. Got it somewhere. Of course, everything acts slow when you need it. Either way, before I get that last person, like Jimmy said, there was a lot of controversy surrounding it because a lot of people were thinking that the second team should have been the first team, or at least could have been. What say you? I mean, what a lot of people also don't realize, like, these awards are for one season. Like, we're not saying, because a lot of people on our page, it was Drew Holiday at the other guard. A lot of people on our page was like, how is Kawhi Leonard and Draymond a better defender than anybody on the first team? Yeah, but we know also that a lot of analytics go into this. The people who vote on this listen to all of that, defensive win shares, this and that.
But I also
and
think
the fact that Kawhi Leonard only played like 60 games this season, that hurts
it's also
his case
like
as
playoff
well.
bias, right? So the first thing I saw was like, damn, Kawhi made. Then I thought about it. I'm like, well, what's in my head is what Kawhi's been doing recently. So it's kind of like recency bias. Like, So I have a bias for Kawhi because it's playoffs. He been like doing his thing. But when I think about how many games he missed, he was on load management calls most of the season. It's kind of difficult to do that. So
and at 60 games and the fact that of course he didn't give it his all throughout the regular season. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if Kawhi wasn't on one of these teams. But people are just looking at who they know. Kawhi might be the best defender in the league. And people are looking at it that way instead of looking at it as far as what was actually done in this particular season. But shout out to Clay, because Clay had to complain to get on this joint. He's finally on.
But Clay does play defense. Crazy part is Clay does play defense. When you watch him play, Clay actually. The thing about defense is all effort.
Clay should have been on one of these teams a long time ago, Jim.
Yeah.
He's
the definition of what they call the 3-and-D pause. He's the definition of that. So, salute to him, man. But to answer your question, though, you can make the argument for the second team, but the first team is solid too. But I think probably the best first and second defensive teams that I've seen in a while. Like I really have no complaints with either one of them. But all these guys play defense. So, congratulations to both first and second team because, Rudy Gobert has to be one. That's the first thing, right? I saw people get mad that Embiid could have been first, and I get that because he could have been. But when you're talking about a center in the NBA, that's all Gobert does. Gobert just catches lobs and plays defense, and I've literally seen him change games because he's trying to block everything. He draws too. He wants to block every shot.
And you also have to realize. Not only that all that he did, but you can say the same thing about Embiid, and that's for the defensive team. And in a few minutes when we talk about the All NBA teams, Embiid played 64 games this year, so it's kind of difficult when you have people that are close to the same level. That has to factor into it. Like if you missed a bunch of games, then you can't. You kind of got to dock them points for that. If there's nobody out there okay, it's clearly this guy, and there's nobody close, then the games won't hurt you as much. But if you have somebody close, you can't say if Joel Embiid misses a ton of games, even if he was having a better defensive season than Rudy Gobert, which I personally don't think he did, you have to take that into account.
Yeah,
I think Joel Embiid might be a more versatile defender than Rudy Gobert. Rudy is, mostly you bring it in here, I'm getting it out of here, or if I'm guarding you, I'm getting it out of here. Embiid is the type of dude, he gets caught on switches, and he does a great job guarding people of different positions when he has to.
He does.
That's not a consistent thing because they're not going to, get that type of switch every play, but when he does a pretty good job of it. But then, like everybody in the NBA, Embiid got them nights where he just flat out get cooked. So that's life. You haven't played basketball at a real level if you never got cooked before.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the absolute truth, man. So congratulations to both of those teams because that is one of the better lineups. And I saw it put in the lineup for it, man. I'm like, it's tough. Yo, real quick though, and I know that it's not part of our discussion, but did you see that that Kawhi campaign that's going on in Toronto?
It's crazy. I saw somebody trying to give him a free penthouse to stay. There's all kinds of stuff. He never has to pay to eat in that town again, and that's even before winning anything. That's just if he stays.
So, I shared it a couple of times in our group, and I saw it to nobody gonna cook him. All right, cool. But there's a movie. It's called Kawhi and Dine. So someone has gathered together businesses, and they have a sticker. It's like Kawhi's face. It says Kawhi and Dine on it, and they're getting businesses to sign up and promise that.
Oh my God.
Kawhi stays, they will give him a free service. So they're posted on businesses all in the center city of Toronto. There's barbershops, there's recording studios, there's law firms, there's several restaurants, there's Uber drivers, dry cleaners that have all said if he stays, he gets their service for free. That's right.
Yo, I got to show you the photo of this penthouse loft that somebody offered to him if he stays. Like, if he stays there, he's going to make an uber amount of money because right now they hold his bird rights, and he's not going to have to pay for anything. So basically, all that money he would lose in taxes, he going to keep in free stuff.
Yo, the penthouse, the view in the penthouse is crazy. Simon Bass, who's the CEO of the condo store, said it's a multi-million-dollar penthouse, and he can have it for free if he resigns with the Raptors.
Yeah.
But
the crazy part is,
if
I'm Kawhi, I would seriously think about doing all this because that takes the pressure off of me. Y'all made a promise. I get here and we don't ever win anything. I want my free stuff. I'm forcing my way out of town.
Either he really, really, really wants to be in LA because he's that big of a gangbanger, or because first of all, you're in the East, which means you're gonna be right back there again. It's probably Milwaukee's young too. See, the East is starting to get a little tough though, which is interesting. It's like it's a little bit. Now I might be a little ahead of the curve, but it feels like the tide is shifting. Because people feel like the West is always more dominant, and it's not true. Like I remember the Pistons, the Sixers, like back in those days.
Yeah, everything flows. It switches. It's cyclical. So it's like the NFL. Remember that time in the NFL, like in the when we were growing, when we were kids, the NFC used to dominate the Super Bowls. Like the Super Bowls weren't even close. And then, as we got older, we became adults, the AFC started to get a little stronger. But that league is, that's the parity league. So, but yeah, it's at least the top four, and we'll have to see what it looks like in maybe like a place like Indiana when Oladipo comes back and see what they can do. But, so the top 4 or 5 teams in the East can compete. So it's about to get a little more even after years of our complaining about the West being so strong. So I'm here for it.
So maybe Kawhi might go back west. Like I'm out of here with the Clippers.
Make a move.
Because also Brooklyn, with the season they had, the cat room they had, Brooklyn could be a problem too. So it's interesting.
Brooklyn.
But
New York might. Kevin Durant and them might come to New York. Yeah, he might want to roll. What he need to do though is just hedge his bet. Just ask the city if he's going to the Clippers. Ask the city of Los Angeles, or at least the portion that roots for the Clippers. Like, look, I need the same treatment here. I need a free crib.
I need
free
food. Set up. What's poppin'?
Right. Yeah, just set it up. He good.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left. You want to go over the NBA All-Rookie team?
Yeah, let's do the teams. The rookies and the All-NBA teams. Everybody know what's going on in the playoffs. Playoff. All right, so the all-rookie first team consists of Luka Doncic, Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Marvin Bagley III. I was going to ask you what you thought about it, but let me give you the second team before we even do that. Second team, we call this boy SGA from the Clippers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Colin Sexton, who through the first 30 games, his teammates thought he couldn't play basketball. Landry Shamet, shout out to him. The first half of his season was with our Philadelphia 76ers. Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks, and Kevin Huerter from the Atlanta Hawks. University of Maryland, stand up. Shout out to Savad and Billy Beige, a.k.a. Hank. So for me, I think they pretty much got this one right. Like the first team looks pretty good to me. Luka, Trae, DeAndre, Jaren Jackson, Marvin Bagley. What say you? Any objections here?
Nah. I mean, not really. Nah. So it
turned out to be a pretty good rookie class too. I mean, the top 5 in that first team is strong, and then you had some surprises. Like I don't think anybody expected Landry Shamet to end up in the first team and the second team. The thing is though, I dug Landry Shamet from the start, and it's crazy. Out of all the players that the Sixers lost this season trying to build the team up, for some reason, like I felt the worst about that one because I really thought his skill set was good for our future because he was a shooter. He's not a 3-and-D guy because he can't really defend. But unlike the shooters that the Sixers have had in the last 2 seasons, he could be trusted to handle the ball a little bit. JJ handles the ball, it's bouncing off his foot. When we had Bellinelli, you put pressure on Bellinelli, we were done. So he actually could shoot the rock, but he wasn't a liability when he was run off the 3-point line. He could actually dribble the ball a little bit. So I really like Landry Shamet. From the moment they drafted him, and I watched the highlight package they had of him, I was like, yo, this dude could be a sleeper, and he's turned out to be that. Mm-hmm. So much love to Landry. Shout out to you. Good luck over there, except for when you play the Sixers. All NBA teams, and this is interesting because I'll read the names, but I'll read a question that Skyview had in the chat room earlier. He said, are there, what did he say, 3 or 2? I think he asked, are there 3 shooting guards in the NBA better than Klay Thompson? I'm assuming he said that because Klay didn't make any of these teams. But what I would say about that, remember, this isn't always about who's better. There's people that, LeBron James made the 3rd team. Are we really going to say that all of those dudes in the 1st and 2nd team are better players than LeBron James? It's all about that season. And as good as Klay is, Klay will never be able to fully shine while, you're playing on a team with Kevin Durant, Steph, Boogie Cousins when he's healthy. So it's gonna be cool. Times like this where and I don't think Klay Thompson necessarily should be on any of these teams myself. But let me read the names for these teams. And the first team All-NBA consists of the 3 MVP candidates. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo, Paul George, James Harden. Those are the top 3 MVP candidates. And then you got Steph and you got the Joker as the big man. The second team, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, and Damian Lillard. And the third team is, where's the third team? Blake Griffin, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Rudy Gobert, and Kemba Walker. Real quick, Jim, before you give your thoughts on that, I got to say that the predictive stat of the week from last week has turned out to be untrue because I went back and did the math. LeBron faced 4 in the years between 2011 and 2018. He faced 4 All-NBA first and second team players in the playoffs. Those players are Pau Gasol when he played for Chicago, Derrick Rose, the IT for the Celtics, and there was one more. It's slipping my mind right now, but it was 4. Even though with Isaiah Thomas, he only played against him in like 1.5 games in the Eastern Conference Finals because he got injured. But Dame Lillard faced, there's 4 on the list, but Kevin Durant doesn't count because he didn't play at all in the Western Conference Finals. So Dame Lillard didn't face more first and second team All-NBAers. It was touch and go there. It could have been if somebody like Russell Westbrook would have made the second team and Kevin Durant would have played in a half a game in the Western Conference Finals, it would have been a good prediction.
Dame got swept. So he's out of here, baby.
Right,
he got swept.
So what are your thoughts on the teams? Any objections here? We talked about it all year whether we thought LeBron would make one, and he did make 30.
Yeah, that. He did make one, but it's interesting because I was thinking about what he just said about 2 guards. I'm sitting there thinking about Bradley Beal and C.J. McCollum, and I'm like, would I take either one of them off Klay? I don't know. Like,
it depends on the makeup of the team for me. There are scenarios where I would take them, and then there's scenarios where I wouldn't. And I'm glad Blake Griffin got his props, man, because his year went under the radar for a lot of people. He had a hell of a year.
It definitely was. We talked about a couple of shows Blake proving a point, but he can actually ball up, man. But it's time to get
out of here, man. And another thing, Skyview, before we go, it doesn't go point guard, shooting guard. It just goes two guards. So, like the third team, you got Kemba Walker and Russell Westbrook. Then you got Dame and Kyrie. So most of the people that made it over him were point guards. So really the only shooting guard that actually made it over him was James Harden. So you can say, no, there's not three shooting guards better than him, but there's a bunch of point guards that made it over him.
But listen, we got to get out of here. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining us for another briefing in the room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, Facebook, Twitter, those in the group chat. We appreciate it. And all the callers who called and got through, we appreciate it. Those we didn't get to, we apologize. Tune in next week, live right here or on demand as we get you ready for NBA Finals. Man, that should be amazing. We'll also get you on everything happening around the world of sports. So until then, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the start of your next week, and we'll see you right back here. Catch everything we do, all of our social media, our blogs, webcasts, network podcasts. Everything can be found on WarRoomSports.com. Get my Sports to Book at SportsToBook.com or also on the hub at WarRoomSports.com. So next time, everybody, accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance. We'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8. Yeah. War Room Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy. Know the blueprint. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic and the Block Push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip-hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, PJ, Jock Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jock. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.